The LMP2 Championship spreads apart while the GTE Championship tightens up. It was certainly contrasting fortunes for our points leaders at Road Atlanta. Stepping over to the old world, they now face a new track. For the first time, the series will tackle Hockeinheim as we get ready to watch Round 7 of the PRL Sportscar Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Hockeinheim is a fresh face here at iRacing. One of the latest additions to the service, it deserves us taking a look at our track guide. Welcome to Road Atlanta, the scene of incredible sports car racing for decades and the home to the Petit Le Mans. This is a track that has proven itself to be worthy of attention on a world stage. With it, welcome to Hockeinheim. Located just an hour away from the border of France, this is a German track whose nature has changed drastically over its history. Once an eye-watering blast through long straights in the forest, it has since been truncated to its current format. With 6 different layouts ranging between 2.5 and 4.5 kilometers containing 13 to 16 turns, depending on which you choose, it's got something for just about every level of racing. This means it would fit everything from club cars up to Formula One. And that's perhaps what it's most well known for. One of the regular hosts for the German Grand Prix, it has been the scene of multiple dramatic moments, some triumphant, some tragic. Its redesign in the early 2000s gave it a few well-placed overtaking spots. The Parabolica entrance can create a good sneak attack, but even if you don't get it done there, the huge run towards the tight and slow Spitz curve is the place most well known for overtakes. If neither of those work, on rare occasions, Mercedes Corner can see drivers manage to pass one another. While the straights certainly aren't as long as the old version, it still requires a good deal of top speed to be competitive. But driver beware. Throttle control can often make or break your lap on the latter half of the circuit. All in all, German race fans can be assured to find great action no matter your tastes in racing at this fantastic venue. DJ, this is going to be an interesting one. We've witnessed multi-class here before a couple times, and both times it's been pretty exciting, it seems.
It certainly is, Joe. You know, this is a track that doesn't see a whole lot of multi-class racing in real life, so it throws a real wrench in the works of these PRL drivers. Now, the best overtaking opportunity for both classes, well, that's going to be down that long Parabolica into the Spitzkehre. We have seen some overtaking, then again, a little bit of fight-back maneuvers going into the Mercedes-Benz Arena area, but drive is going to have to be very careful on that next sequence going down the Mobil 1 curve. It's very, very easy to run wide there. Now, because we're dealing with the multi-class racing, it's important to know that Hockeinheim, for a modern Formula One track, has some very, very narrow sections to it, specifically coming out of the Sachs curve and coming into that southern curve there onto the main straightaway. Very, very tight and twisty. It's an area that these LMP2 drivers can get held up on, so they're going to have to be careful. They're going to want to try to hopefully get past drivers on the long straightaways here. They can get held up pretty easily if they're not careful.
I imagine we'll be seeing plenty of that as this race progresses. But today's race is brought to you by SimMSA. Simulation Motorsports Affinity provides many consulting services, from completely customizing simulators to managing teams, individual drivers, and complete events. They're working hard to bring everyone together at one place to support and promote sim racing internationally. Find out how you can bridge the gap between virtual and real motorsports at SIMMSA.net.
The PRL Sports Car Series is also brought to you by NinjaTrader. Ready to compete against the financial markets? Supporting over 60,000 users across the globe, NinjaTrader provides award-winning trading software and brokerage services. NinjaTrader is always free to use for advanced charting, backtesting, and trade simulation. Visit ninjatrader.com to get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance.
Today's broadcast is also proudly sponsored by Butt Kicker. Butt Kicker products add an incredible immersion and realism to any game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Check them out at thebuttkicker.com. Now, let's take a look at those two drivers' championships, starting off, of course, with the prototypes. And up at the top of them, it is Mauricio Cuero, who is nearly a full wins worth ahead of Tianzai Leighton. Some of that helped out by the drop weeks because Cuero had a DNF in round 2. Interesting, Leighton does not have any zeros on the board. He's actually only had a worst finish of 6th so far this season, so doing quite well for himself. It is 1 point back to Horatio Calquin. He could easily overtake Leighton if he keeps the speed up that he's had much of the season. Jeffrey Ooms a little farther behind with Christian Eisler rounding out our top 5. And in the GTE standings, up at the top of them, it is Don Skwerek. It is much closer here. In fact, it is tightened up because Skwerek took his first DNF last round, and Michael Ross took his second victory. Now, we look back at Rafael Russo, 0 wins so far, but very consistent, racked up a number of podiums and quite a few top 5s. In fact, Russo's the only one who has finished in the top 5 in every round in the GTE class right now. Thomas Cope and Ted Lowendick round out the top 5 in a close 2-point battle down there. What about the teams championships, DJ?
Well, in that LMP2 Teams Championship, you can see Punto CL Racing Rojo putting on a master class here, 135 points ahead of their closest title rival Vector by RSR LMP. Between them, it's a little closer back with Final Lap Racing, only about 44 points away from that second place, and Punto CL Racing Azul, only about 4 points back from them. So definitely a little battle shaping up there for third and potentially for second. Back in fifth, though, it is Pure Sims eSports. They are a good ways back. They got about 50 points to clear to get up to Punto CL Racing Azul. In the GTE Championships, it's a little bit tighter at the top with L1 Esports only 47 points ahead of Vector by RSR GTE. So that battle definitely up for grabs with as many rounds as we have left to go here. Davidson Motorsport about 15 or so points back for third place. So they are certainly in the hunt for that second place position. Team Oblivion Racing about 30 points back at Davidson. So really close there as well. And exactly 30 points back for Radical. So a pretty even point spread there across the board for all teams.
Now, as for today's event in particular, the race details, we are in round 7. As we mentioned, there's the 2 classes that will be racing at the same time on this track. 45 minutes that they'll have to complete, and it is an open setup series. If they go off track too many times or have spins or contacts, they will rack up incident points. It's a very slim margin here that they have to deal with. Only 10 of them, and they will be sent through the pits in a drive-through, and they are not allowed to pit when they do that. They cannot take any service. They have to run through and then come back and take service another time. Disqualified at 15. It's a modern F1 track, which means there's lots of paved runoff, which means it's going to be easy to get those throughout the race, unfortunately. Right now, drivers are trying to get some clean laps in during qualifying, and Christian Eisler is our provisional pole sitter. This last lap was not his quickest. Cuero isn't even on track right now to challenge him. And Michael Ross is not only our pole sitter, but Skwerek is not even on the front row with him.
No, he's not. Rafael Russo putting in a very, very good time. There is Kwok Nin, Ross's other Ford compatriot, as James L. David comes across the line there in 7th with a 34 flat. I really expect Ross to be able to stretch his legs out here as we watch him coming around those final couple of corners. We have heard time and time again just how fast that Ford GT is in a straight line, and I think that's going to be a big benefit for him today.
Michael Ross, this last lap through, looks like he does not improve. They only get 4 laps to try and set their quickest. And looking through, if anybody else who is on the track is able to set a time, Ted Lowendick abandons his. This is Lavidiere, and he's already taken all 4 of his laps, so we might be out of cars. Leighton, he is on his final one. He's up to 4th. Pretty good qualifying for Tensai. Let's see if this is going to be any faster than his 26.7.
Looking a little slow there, Joe, and indeed, I think he had an off somewhere on circuit, so he's going to draw into the pits there, and that's going to wrap up our qualifying.
Indeed. So, as we wait for the session to turn over. It's not the biggest field we've seen, and in fact, the prototypes are looking a little slim, but there will be plenty of action from what we've seen here before in the past, so do not fret. You will get some fun to watch. Let's go through that starting order. On the pole, it's going to be Christian Eisler with Mauricio Cuero in second. Horatio Calquin starts in third today. To his outside, it's going to be Etienne Layton with Jeffrey starting P5, and Josh Wolf rounds out our prototype field.
In the front row for that GTE field is going to be Michael Ross and Thomas Cope to his outside, with Rafael Russo and Don Skwarek all the way back in fourth. That is going to be a fascinating start to keep an eye on. Behind them, it'll be Ted Lowendick in fifth with Arnaud Genet in sixth. James David's going to be seventh with Iago Morez in eighth. Making up the row behind them will be Luis Pime Jr. and Jean-Claude Langlois, with Lou Barreto and Vincent Trepanier lining up behind them in row 9 overall. Philippe Magnon will line up 13th in class, followed by Gabriel Lavadier in 14th in class. 15th will be Johnny Luna, followed by Marc-Andre Desjardins, Kwaknin, and Michael Plord to round out your GTE field, Joe.
Real quickly, let's go through some of our onboards here today, as we've got a few of them. Mauricio Cuero is going to be giving us a perspective again. As we like to call it in the production world, that is a dead cat, and that's actually the name of that thing that's above him right now. Horatio Calquin is also going to be joining us, and Horatio, there you see his rig is not actually there. Now he's joining us. I was going to say, he's not got much time left. Thomas Cope is also going to be joining us, as we got another angle there for Horatio. There's that. No, that's Thomas Cope. They just have similar setups, it looks like. Interesting. But we've also got Teddy Lowendick. All right, what do we have in store today? I'm not sure what those are on his glasses. Oh, that's us. Okay. I thought it was maybe like a bow tie or something that he had on the side of his glasses. Anyways, let's go to Lou Barreto, who's our last one for today, because we get the pace car taking off, and Lou Barreto would be showing us his hands, but he's saying a silent prayer, it looks like, just before he takes off. So now we are on our way, and the pace car is already heading up into the Sachs curve. Christian Eisler, who is still looking for that elusive victory and has come so close multiple races and multiple seasons at this stage, starts on the pole. What can he do this time? Is this trend finally going to change for him, or is he going to be stuck in the same spot as usual? Michael Ross starting off on the pole in those GTE cars. They come out of the final corner, and nice and early on the throttle, Christian Eisler gets a very good jump over second place Cuero. Cuero had a little bit of a threat from Calquin, but he's slow into the north curve and backs it up a big, huge gap to his teammate. So that is clean for our prototypes. Let's go to the GTEs.
Joe, it was an absolute kerfluffle back in the GTEs as Skwarek got into the back of Rafael Russo. Russo turned around coming into the southern curve. It's completely thrown a lot out of this opening stint, and now Ross leads from Cope, Genet, and Skwarek still back and forth.
Oof. Skwarek can't afford to lose another one, as we got to pass for the lead in the prototypes down through the Spitzker. Eisler's going to try to come back around the outside as he gave up the inside line to Mauricio Cuero. Through that little kink down to the Mercedes arena, and he's going to have the desired line into there, but is he going to be able to complete the defense? It's going to be very tight here once again, carrying the speed well, robust from Christian Eisler. Cuero now has his teammate peeking into the mobile curve, but it looks like they're going to stay single file. Eisler, Cuero, Calquin.
You saw there Eisler getting a little bit squirrely on exit, a lot more momentum carried in there from Cuero, putting the pressure to the Iceman here. He's just got to try to defend from it. Very, very hard to do.
Clearly, Mauricio is quick here today. He first started this on the run down to the Spitzker. Just use that slipstream. Wondering if that's going to be happening a lot today, unless they've got that car trimmed out. All of them trying to stay within those bounds. You can rack up the 1Xs going wide there through the first corner so easily.
Very, very much so. It's very, very typical of what we see at a lot of these Formula One circuits. And now Cuero just trying to hone it in there. You see Eisler trying to carry a little bit more momentum out through the corner. Now, it'll be interesting to see if Eisler tries to go defensive here or does anything to try to break the draft from Cuero. Cuero's probably thinking about a look. He's not going to go for it here, but wants to keep the pressure to that car in front.
Oh, behind them, that is a pass from Ooms on Cal Quinn. So he's going to split the teammates if he can keep it ahead of him. This is similar to what we saw from Eisler and Cuero last lap. Oh, that kink always makes me so scared when they go through side by side. He is going to get it done.
Ooh, but runs wide there on the exit. That might be a little bit of a chance for Cal Quinn to fight back. Indeed, he carries more momentum. Ooh, but takes a big hit on that sausage curb. That's going to blunt his momentum and put him in danger of, that's Leighton coming up the outside, going down into the Sachs curve.
Oh, barely gives him enough space on the entry into the Sachs curve, but Leighton backs out, and Cal Quinn at least holds on to fourth. Tian Tsai has actually lost a spot from the start. Don't forget, he began in P4. This is not looking good in his hopes to fight for the championship, let alone second, because that's third place in the points that is in front of him. Down in the GTEs. Oh, and Lou Barretto's had an issue, some sort of problem. He's losing multiple positions. Oh, he went, oh my goodness, this was a huge moment coming through the mobile curve. So this is in the Mercedes arena right here, so it'll be a couple corners after this. That Ferrari is going to have a wild ride out into the dirt.
He's got everything gotten up under him here, and this is that corner I talked about, Joe. Very, very deceptive, easy to take it wide. Ooh! That's a little bit of rear brake lock up there. Barretto catches it, goes through the gravel. He is very lucky he was able to gather it up under him and not sustain any major damage to the outside of that car.
Now he's got to fight back through the field. He's in 12th after that mistake, and he's got a train of cars in front of him. But we're going to have to jump away because Leighton is still threatening. It's Cal Quinn. Oh, and Wolf is actually in the hunt to try and get a few spots here. Oh, wide once again there for Horatio Cal Quinn, but he holds on to it. These curbs are going to bite someone badly if they keep racing like this.
Yeah, it is. They are very, very big curbs here. They can take a huge chunk out of the car. You saw just how much it can when you get around them. Jumping here to a live camera as we continue to look back, and you see Christian Eisler setting the fastest lap of the race.
This is on board with Cal Quinn. Looking back at Tian Tsai Leighton. He gets a good run coming up to the Parabolica entry, but he's not quite close enough. If he can get the launch, this might do it. Now we hop on board with the 19. Ooh, this is looking good.
It certainly is. He's got a very, very good run here. He's trying to poke to the outside. Now dives to the inside. A little bit of a defensive move there. It's going to be a late on the brakes contest as they go down in. He's going to back out of it. Very, very smart driving there, I think.
Don't want to risk the car this early in the race. He knows he needs to continue to rack up results. Ooh, is he going to get another shot? Yes, he is. Once again, down to the inside. This time he is going to try and outbrake his rival, and he's going to be successful at it. Leighton gets himself into fourth.
A very, very slick move there from Leighton, and you can see him already starting to pull a little bit of gap on his rival of Cal Quinn, so that is a good sign for the driver of the 19.
And Don Squirek made a little bit of contact through the Sportscar with Arnaud Genet. And it wasn't very hard contact. We don't need a replay of it, but got awful close to him as we hop on board looking over his dash. He's still stuck in fourth, which I think that's where he qualified, was it not?
It is indeed, Joe. He was a little bit bottled up on the inside of the start. A lot of the guys that started on the outside, so in those even number positions, they were able to really, really get by as Russo has had to take a tow here. He is effectively out of this race, and that big checkup from everybody caused everybody starting on the inside to check up, and Squirek was one of those guys who was not able to make a move up because of it.
Well, this is not good for him because Michael Ross is going to be gaining yet more points on him from that. Ross is currently, it looks like, roughly 4 seconds up the road, so it's not too crazy far ahead. But Squirek is not going to be happy about having multiple cars between himself and his main rival. There is the Ford GT of Michael Ross continuing to plug away at the front.
Yeah, and Joe, I've been just checking in on his top speed coming down the Parabolica here. He's got about a mile an hour or two over his rivals. So the legs of that Ford GT really starting to show themselves.
Once again, I think there may have been just a tiny little tap between Genet and Skwerek, but again, didn't cause any sort of damage. Just giving him a tiny bit of a hello, trying to stay right tucked up underneath that rear wing. He's good on the brakes there. Unfortunately, it doesn't get him the spot.
Yeah, not quite. I think at this point, Skwerek, we've seen him be back in the field only a few times, but he is a very collected driver. He's just trying to apply as much pressure to Genet ahead of him as possible and hope to force Genet into a mistake here.
Pretty tough to make a pass here at the stadium section. So he'll just have to sit patiently behind him. Could we maybe see one down into turn 2, into the Parabolica entry? If he stays this tight behind the Porsche, it's very possible, but he's going to have to get a great exit out of the north curve. Let's see what he's got as we ride on board. Chucks it into the turn, and it looks solid, but it's just as solid for that black and orange Porsche.
Yeah, he's not really able to get too much of an advantage here. The only time we're really able to see him draw in is when they get down the straightaway going into the Spitzkehre. So, I mean, he's just going to have to be super aggressive on the brakes, Joe. I think that's the only way he's going to get by, but it's a very good run there out of that little sweeper coming out of the Parabolic entry. This may be a good run if he wants it.
A little bit of a defensive move from Arnaud, and just covers off a little bit more than a car's width from the outside. That will deny Skwerek. James David giving watch, the teammate to Genet. And that's not going to make life fun for Don if they continue to fight like this. Once again, he's just about a foot away from that rear bumper, but a foot away is still not close enough to get the overlap.
It's really not. I'm getting the sense he is getting held up ever so slightly, so I wouldn't be surprised if a few laps here he starts to throw a little bit of a Hail Mary to try to get this pass done and get on up into the podium positions.
We got to go to Quero because he's looking to the inside of Eisler once again. He made a couple attempts before. Is this one going to actually work? Eisler lets him have the inside, isn't able to cut back underneath him. It looks like Mauricio Quero is going to once again deny the 727 as he slots back into second.
And that was a really good job of placing the car right on the apex. You saw right there as Eisler was trying to go wide that he wanted to go for the over-under. Quero denied him.
Had a spin from Luis Pime Jr. in the 33. This happened in the south curve. I think this was a single car incident, so I'm not sure if we want the replay. He's come back, and he's in 11th. He definitely lost about 3 or 4 spots trying to recover the car.
Yeah, and so he's going to have some work to do right now. Oh, Joe, it looks like Skwerek's going for the move on Genet.
He manages to get the inside this time. Genet sticks with it. He'll have the inside arena if he can hold on, but it's going to be very tough. Oh, he starts to lose out. Skwerek, does he cover him off? No, he feels confident enough in his braking. He just takes the racing line, finally onto the podium positions, but still a good 3.5 seconds back from Ross.
He's got a lot of work to do, and he's now going to have to get by Thomas Cope. That was a very aggressive job there from Skwerek. You could see a little bit of that frustration going, I've got to go for this now. And as I said, he's going to set his sights on Cope ahead, but I do not expect Genet to go lightly on this. Look for a fight back from that Porsche.
And you have to wonder, could his teammate maybe get involved as well? Ooh, as he goes a little bit off track up and over the curb himself. James David is able to keep going, hopefully without any damage on the under tray. Let's see who's quickest through the north curve. A lot of curb to the inside for the 89. Once again, the car of James David certainly seems to be taking a lot of the track.
Yeah, it certainly does. We're going to ride on board with David here. You can see, let's watch him as he goes through here. Obviously, a lot of dirty air in front of him. Relatively good line through there, but it's certainly through some of the more medium speed corners that we've seen those problems.
Yeah, just a little bit too far back, and the slipstream's not going to be able to help him, at least at this stage, as they work their way down through the Parabolica. Ooh, looking a lot closer, though, coming off of there. Starts to fall away as soon as they pick up speed. Don't anticipate he's going to try and attack him and take something very aggressive, and no, he's going to stay in line. Why don't we hop back to an onboard with another one of our drivers providing cameras. The 72 of Lowendick is chasing down Magnon. This is for 8th position. There we see Teddy's perspective. Another one of our drivers there in the orange and black Porsche, Philippe Mignon, racing in the Davidson Motorsport team.
And Teddy's been stuck up behind here for a long time, but doing a very good job. He is currently the highest placed BMW in this field. So carrying that Bimmer flag as it were. Good line there out of Sachs curb. You can see just how much he's trying to take those curbs, get as much speed as he can around here. Able to run it. Ooh, perfect kiss of that coming into the south curve.
You know, based on his shirt, I feel like he needs to have a yellow rusty paint scheme with the word yo on the back.
I'd agree with that. I'd like to see that next time, Teddy.
Yeah, Teddy does like to have fun with that. Oh, and something's happened to our leader, and it's with traffic. Mauricio Cuero has had something send him into the wall. I think it's Kwok Nin.
It was indeed. It was indeed. We jump back to check out the replay on this, and you can see what happened was Nin got out of line coming through the south curve. We're going to jump to the helicopter cam here. That's Nin right in front in that Ford GT.
Fortunately today, the secret of Nin was to give him a much wider berth, and it looks like Cuero did not give him that. I don't see a whole lot of damage, so he may have gotten away with it, but he did fall to third, and Eisler gets the lead back. Ooms is promoted to second.
Exactly, and Eisler has about a 1 second gap over Ooms, although I would not be surprised if Jeffrey Ooms smells some blood in the water is going to start pushing very hard here.
Certainly, he's only a second back from Eisler as they start to take over some of the lapped GTE cars. They can see them getting past Johnny Luna. And, ooh, is this going to be yeah, this is a bad spot for Ooms. He gets checked up, loses a couple tenths, but it's going to be paid back because Lavadier is in front of Eisler now, and there is no way by unless he's aggressive like that. Great job by the 727.
And that is just knowing where you have got to go, and in turn, Lavadier holds up Ooms ever so slightly. That's going to gain some good time here for Christian Eisler, about 2 or 3 tenths by my calculations.
And I heard someone enter pit lane. Cal Quinn is in pit lane. I don't remember him hitting anything. This is a relatively early stop, but it should be within the pit window.
Yeah, it should be, Joe. I'm not really sure why he's coming in. Pulls the car to a halt there. No tires, obviously. I think this may just be a major attempt to undercut, maybe avoid a lot of that slower GTE traffic in front and just put some fast laps in.
That would be a savvy move if it works out in that fashion. Of course, it's always a bit of a roll of the dice in multi-class traffic. And he's, let's see, how long do they usually have pit stops in here? Because he's been sitting in here. Now he's on his way. Okay, so we're good. This does appear to be scheduled then.
Yeah, we're just going to have to see if that plays out. That could be a very, very bold strategy, but if it works for Cal Quinn,
see how it plays out, Cotton. In the meantime, we do know at least it wasn't a penalty since it would require a drive-through and he would not be allowed to stop in his pit stall. But this is the battle for the lead, still very close between Ooms and Eisler. They got a few more of our GT cars to try and go by. Trepanier is going to be up next, and they got an exiting one. That's Russo, just going to stay low, out of the way.
Yeah, Rafael just trying to get some points here, but it looks like we've had another taker on the pits. That's Joshua Wolf diving in as well. So Cal Quinn, not the only one with this in mind here today at Hockeinheim.
Down into his stall, starting from last on the field in the prototype class. He's taking his fuel. We don't expect any tires for him. Cal Quinn had a 26.2 stationary, and it's a 12.4 for Wolf.
So maybe there was a little bit more damage there on Cal Quinn that he had to get repaired that we missed. We'll have to keep an eye on the other pit stops. Ooh, there's a spinning Porsche there in front of our leaders.
Yeah, that was Moraes, Iago Moraes in the 93. Trying to see if that involves anybody else, and it doesn't look like it. Ooh, Teddy Lowendick might have a shot at Mignon. He actually has gotten very close to the 4.31. They're coming up to the Sachs curve now. A brave driver can sometimes make a pass, but he's not willing at this stage.
Yeah, he's not, and that was a little bit precipitated by, that was Russo coming back on track, picking up some points, and I think that stacked everybody up a little bit. Ooh, good run there coming into the south curve. Teddy's really able to get that car pointed down the right way that he wants to. Very, very good run. If he can keep this up through the north curve and through the start of Parabolica, he may be able to get a good run going down into the Sportscar.
Looks like he fell back a little bit coming off of the north curve. Maybe if he gets the exit here, he sizes it up, takes a little bit of the curb. This is actually looking quite good for him. But don't forget behind him, Lou Barreto on his recovery drive. He's going to get the tow as well. And if these two go side by side, he might be able to pull a blinder on both of them. Lowendick just staying in the slipstream. Now he ducks to the inside as in front of him, Mignon cuts down to the apex. A little bit of a bump from behind from Barreto. He catches the car and no change of position, but things are getting tight.
They are indeed, and I gotta say, Teddy's gotta be a little bit more disappointed than he normally would be with that little bump. He almost had an angle to be able to take the tighter line off of the quarter on Mignon, but courtesy of that bump from Barreto, no harm, no foul, obviously, but, or no harm intended, rather, but just not able to fully execute on it. He'll have to wait another lap.
Barreto, the camera-shy driver, showing us the inputs that he's got on his wheel. Looking relatively smooth here. Not a lot of movement in there except over the curves. Maybe a few counter corrections. And we're almost to the halfway point. Sizing these two up. Ooh, much tighter at the apex there for Teddy.
Yeah, he's definitely making a good run.
I don't think he's going to be able to make a pass into the first corner, but Ooms actually might have a shot at Eisler. He exits out of the Parabolica entry, only 4/10 back from Eisler. We've hopped on board with the orange and black 97, reeling him in. He's going to try and look for it. I think he's too far back, and indeed, he doesn't even get the overlap. But look at this. Cuero has recovered to within 9/10 of a second to Ooms.
This is about to get very spicy up front, and Eisler had a very scruffy third sector on that last lap. Whoa, right up behind there goes Ooms. They've now got to get past. That is Ross. That is the GTE leader in front. Can that throw a little bit of a wrench into the works here? Ooh, I think Ooms has got to run if he wants it. He does.
He tries to take it side by side into the Mobile One curve, but it doesn't stick, and that means he won't get a second chance into the Sachs curve. Almost wonder if he should have stayed more patient.
I think he should have, Joe, especially with how scruffy Eisler was on this portion of the last lap. Now, let's see if Eisler's able to carry as much speed as he wants to. Looks like he has a better run there coming out of the south curve, and indeed, Ooms falls back ever so slightly, and it looks like Cuero may be the catbird now.
Coming up to the Parabolica entry, I finally have gotten some information on the last time we've seen Christian Eisler take a victory. 2019 of season 2, and it was at Homestead Miami Speedway, the road course, and a GTE car back when it was only GTE cars. Cuero might throw a wrench in things for Jeffrey Ooms because he has now fallen too far off of Eisler and is under attack because down to the inside, Mauricio gets down to him. Look at him breathe and try and hold away from the side of that 97. It's not going to work.
Oi, oi, oi. That was a little bit of an attempted Max Verstappen move, let us call it there, trying to push him wide, and Ooms having absolutely none of it, pushing back a little bit, and Cuero's going to have to fight another day here.
Love seeing the onboard and just have to suck in a breath as the car squirmed under power. He continues to fight. This is great news for Eisler after he was under serious threat. He finally gets some breathing room, can focus forward.
Yeah, it's going to be a welcome relief for Christian here, especially as we tick down under 25 minutes to go. Eisler's going to be very, very happy to let Unzenquero fight. He's already got a gap of about 1.6 seconds.
That's all he needed to try and check out. Still, like I said, half the race left to go. So this is not over by any stretch. Once again, going a little bit wide. Mauricio Cuero taking a lot of the curbing at the exit of the first corner. I wonder if we will see a drive-through penalty before all is said and done here today.
Well, these drivers are going to have to be very, very careful about it. They need to know what their limits are. We've seen sometimes in endurance racing, guys using those off tracks, let us call strategically. Here they come, though, down that long straightaway. It looks like Cuero's not going to go for the attack here. Gets a little bit of a better run, though, out of the Sportscar, so maybe he can try something. No, he's falling back ever so slightly.
I think he could still surprise him, and he looks like he doesn't want to. He's going to stick to the racing line down into Mercedes. Oh, and Skorak is taken second. He's trying to anyways. Cope is side by side with him. Are they going to be able to make it through here cleanly? A lot of curb there for Cope. The car gets a little unsteady, but he brings it back through the braking, fights him around the outside, and Thomas Cope says, "You shall not yet, sir."
Oh, but Squarick says, I don't know about that. He's still to the inside. He's got about a tire next to a tire. They're going to be side by side going through Mobile 1, and Squarick gets it done. Cope looks to the outside, goes for the crossover, but has to think better of it. Oh, my goodness.
That spotter must have called it perfectly. Squarick sliced in front of him just as he was given space, and Cope actually bumped the back of that Ferrari. So Squarick now into P2, but he has 5 seconds to make up to catch Michael Ross. This is going to be a fantastic race if he is faster. We'll keep an eye on that pace and see if this gives us a real run to the finish. But will he be able to hold on to second here? Look at Cope. He's feeling feisty. He's going to try for it. Oh, nearly runs into the back once again of Don, but the points leader will stay in second.
We got to keep the cameras here, though, because I think that Porsche may have a little bit of a straight line speed advantage, and that could play to Thomas Cope's benefit here. Indeed, there you see Squarick knows it, weaving this way and that. He's going to make Cope go around the outside of the Sportscar here. They're heavy on the brakes. Tries to pinch him down at the apex. Squarick holds on for now. A little bit squirrely on the curbs for Cope.
All the way as far to the track as he could go. Squarick was not letting him have the inside into there. Is he going to cover him off again? No, he's going to leave the door open. Tries to shut it too late. Cope gets his nose in. They don't make contact. It's getting pretty spicy. And Thomas Cope is going to step back into third, at least for now.
Joe, I don't think I have seen that much side-by-side running in this or any series around Hockeinheim thus far. Absolutely incredible out of Squarick and Cope. Such respect for both drivers. Just flawless side-by-side racing.
I wondered about Don leaving that space open because he tried to shut it, but then he realized, no, the car was next to him already. Oh, if Cope can do that again, and it's not looking good as he has a bad exit out of the south curve. I was going to say, he's not going to give this one up. This is horrible for Squarick. He's now up to 6 seconds behind Ross.
He is, and he's really going to have to try to do everything he can to get up there. He knows the points implications to try to do it, but again, Cope able to close down at the start of the Parabolica. Can he maybe get another run here? Falls back a little bit through that sweeping left-hander. You can see Squarick again trying to break the draft. Cope is farther back this time.
Immediately ducked off the left side. He puts a little bit of a cover down to the right, but then comes back to the left. Yeah, this looks much safer for Don Squarick. As that was happening, an update, Ted Lowendick came in for a scheduled pit stop. I think maybe he's gonna try and use that to pass Mignon.
Yeah, I think that's a good call.
As we look at Mignon, instead, it looks like Teddy was replaced by Barretto and Moraes, who we know is slightly out of position. So is Luis Pime Jr. In fact, this is Barretto, Moraes, and Pime Jr. have all had incidents, I think all spins, during this race, and they're all stacked up here behind the 431.
And I have to say, with that in mind, it is a very, very good defensive drive here from Philippe, really keeping these guys at bay. It is so incredibly difficult to drive with your rear view mirror full of that bright red Ferrari, and he's doing a great job to keep Barretto behind him right now.
It's the spun car train, and Philippe Mignon is currently the engine. Let's see how long he's able to keep it out. I have to imagine he's not going to be going into the pits until as late as possible. Anybody behind him duck down? No, they're all going to follow suit.
Yeah, if you're in a train like this and you are in one of those GTEs, I do not think it's a terrible idea to try to stay out as long as possible. We've seen with just as few LMPs as there are out on track, it's a good idea to try to stay out. You don't have to worry that much about traffic.
So I saw another car duck in. I see Lavidière in the pit lane. So the 338 is going to give up 13th and take his service. Ooh, it looks like maybe Moraes has got a good run. Is Barretto going to lose out? Barretto himself is trying to poke his nose, or is this just simply defense? Could be either or. Regardless, Mignon doesn't give up the spot. All of them really hard on the throttle, spinning up the tires.
And yeah, we're riding on board here with the 33 of Pime. You can see that train just in front. He's getting very close to Moraes there. Ooh, a little bit of wheel spin coming off of the line, though. That's going to cost him.
I don't think it's going to cost him enough. Doesn't look like anybody's close enough unless Barretto is going to try and be brave down into the Sachs curve, and it doesn't appear to be the case. Now, to complicate things, here comes Horatio Calquin, one of our LMP2s who has taken his pit stop, but is not in a direct battle, but he certainly is not going to want to give up time. Oh, and there goes the leader of the train. Mignon is into the pits first.
All right, interesting move there from Mignon. Calquin working his way around the cars, but we stay on board with Mignon as he gets into his stall here.
And Genet is in too, just in front of him. So I wonder if this is actually a team call. This could be strategy across the drivers on that Davidson Motorsport team. There you can see Arnaud is already back out running in 9th, and actually our highest pitter currently of those who have stopped.
It may be, Joe, but, you know, this isn't necessarily a circuit like I think of as a massive draft circuit where you don't want to lose that buddy, something like a Spa or even parts of Watkins Glen and some lower powered machinery. So not entirely sure why you would want to come in as a team.
Yeah, very strange call from them, especially since I would think that they'd have a little bit left. We're not seeing a whole slew of cars in ahead of them. And this is Barretto in the red Ferrari being chased by the blue and white Porsche of Moraes, and Pime Jr. in the black and red Ferrari behind them. Everybody, sorry, go ahead.
We've got Squirek and Cope both diving into the pits at the same time, so some of our leaders in GTE coming in.
So differing strategy between themselves and Ross, as well as James David, we should point out, who continues on, who will inherit second place. So Thomas Cope coming down to his stall, the UKNI sporting the Union Jack on his left rear. So we watch him take service. Looks like Squirek going to be out first. Is it going to be a big enough gap that he can keep it at arm's length? Yes, it looks like, yeah, he's got a very good gap back to the 64.
Yeah, Squirek was stationary in the box, roughly a second less than Thomas Cope. So Cope's going to have even more work to do. And, ooh, catches at the exact wrong time as our leaders, Eisler and Cuero, split around Cope right now. So that caught him out ever so slightly. He's got even more time to make up.
Let's go to Leighton, though, because he is suddenly on top of Ooms. And this is a fight for podium position. Leighton is on a great run today. He could be spraying the champagne on merit here. We haven't really had much in the way of attrition from those around him as they both get on the throttle coming out of that tight hairpin. He's close. This looks a little far back for an attempted move, unless he's brave. No.
Thought about it, but that's Cope right up ahead of them if they catch him exactly. Ooh, that may have been a little bit of a check up there for Ooms as he came around. Leighton now is going to have to pick. They're able to get by him, it looks like, before that Mobile 1 curve, and nothing between them.
Let's stay here, but Ross has pitted, so is James David and Trepanier. So that'll be the last of our GTE cars to have pitted. I don't think that we'll see Squirrek overtake our leader, but he should gain quite a bit. In fact, Ross already out and moving. And there goes that battle by Squirrek. Still holds advantage over Leighton. I can give you the gap on Squirrek here in just a moment. Looks like actually down to about 5.8 seconds.
Yeah, and I think part of that is, again, Squirrek has a very, very fast stop, the fastest out of any of the GTEs. But let's keep our eyes focused here. Leighton got a very good run. He's got some speed over Ooms. This may be the time to go for the move. He certainly thinks so. The 19 dives to the inside.
But he gives up on it. Doesn't feel confident enough. Wasn't deep on the brakes compared to his rival. So Leighton may be biding his time, maybe waiting for a high percentage move so that he knows he can make it safely and get into third. This is the leader in front of them, the leader of the GT cars. Michael Ross going to catch him at a very good time. Won't really interrupt it. Oh, but Leighton thinks about it down into the Mobile 1 curve and then falls back.
Yeah, he definitely thought about trying to make that move there, and I think, Joe, in the back of his head, that may have been what he was looking up the road at as they drove through the Spitzkara. Now, this is Rafael Russo in front of them. It's a little bit damaged, and both of them are going to dive into the pits at the same time.
And Eisler is in with them as well. Cuero stays out. So Cuero is going to try and run an alternate strategy to the leader, which he was catching. It was down to about 0.6 of a second. This is going to be a very tight run to the finish after these pit stops.
It certainly is. Now, all three prototype drivers here stop on their marks. Looks like no problems from anybody. Only fuel here for these drivers, no tires.
Still waiting. Eisler is out in 11.8 seconds. Ooms, same amount of time. Leighton, mildly faster with 11.5.
All right, so that gap as it starts to stabilize, it looks like Eisler's got about 2 seconds up the road from Cuero, so a little bit tight for him, or from Ooms rather, but all eyes now on Mauricio Cuero. Let's see what the driver of the 79 can do.
Ooh, he is wheeling it. You can see him have to catch it a bit right up to the wall, flying down through the Mobile 1 curve. This pit stop is going to have to be perfect. I don't think we'll see him go much farther than this. If he can go another lap, that'll be some incredible fuel saving, especially considering his speed into the south curve. He's got to hold it tight, and yes, there he goes down to pit lane.
I was going to say, Joe, if he was able to keep that up for 2 laps, I think that's the definition of hammer time that you saw there out of Mauricio Cuero. So he is now coming to rest in the pit lane, coming down right now as Eisler makes his way through the Mobile 1 curve.
There you see the stats between them. Cuero is still yet to hit his box, waiting for that second timer to start ticking. And there he goes. 11.7 seconds for Eisler. Cuero up to 7, 8, 9, 10, and he moves at 10.6. He might actually be passed here. He's past the cones. He's starting to accelerate away. Eisler's going to have some speed off the corner, but Cuero looks to be through.
Oh my goodness gracious, pit stop strategy coming into effect, and indeed that gap is about 1.4 seconds. I think that was all down to that mega lap that we saw Mauricio Cuero put in, and that little bit quicker in the box. So now it's all down to Christian Eisler. Can he catch the 79 with just under 9 minutes to go?
This is going to be a hard ask. He was being run down by Cuero, so I'm thinking the 79 is the one who's got the legs today. Only 8 minutes left, so he won't be able to run far away from him. And let's not forget, there is still traffic that they have to navigate. That could help Christian close it up. In fact, up first for them is going to be a battle between Genet and David, the teammates fighting for fourth in the GT cars.
Yeah, and the two of them separated out by about 0.7 of a second, so there'll be a little bit of gap in between when these LMP2s catch them. But Cuero's going to have to hope he gets them at just the right opportunity. I think it may get a little dicey. He may catch them just coming through the north curve.
Now, glancing down through our prototypes, and one thing we didn't catch is that Leighton seems to have lost a lot of time to Ooms, either in that sequence or maybe he caught some traffic that we didn't see, because it's now 4 seconds up to third place.
Yeah, it certainly wasn't being stationary in the box, Joe. I think it was down to where he just came out and catching that traffic wrong.
It's a bit of a shame, since Tianzai was looking like he was going to give us a lot of fun there at the end, the way he was hounding the 97. It's not over necessarily. He could still catch up to him. We'll again keep an eye on that as well. So again, your podiums between the two classes, now that all the pit stops are done: Cuero, Eisler, Ooms, your top three in the prototypes; Ross, Skorek, Cope, your top three in the GTs. And I think Lou Barreto had his second spin today. Yeah, it looks like the 20 went around at the Parabolica entry.
That's a rough day there for Lou Barreto, but he continues to muscle on, currently in 12th. There you can see him trying to run away from Johnny Luna. Behind him, Luna's only about 0.7 of a second back, so that Corvette may be hoping to have a little bit of a run here.
Certainly sticking with him. But the drivers that have had the opposite today includes the likes of Lowendick, who we were following earlier. No, excuse me, Trepanier is the one I'm looking at, rather. 18th to 12th, so up 6 positions for the 87. There he is on screen. Haven't shown him a whole lot, but kind of wonder if he prefers it that way.
Yeah, Vincent just driving a very quiet race here and taking advantage of others' misfortune, doing a very, very good job in that Ferrari. As we've said, a little bit of the differences in the GTs, that Ferrari is known as being one of the more planted, just solid all-around cars, doesn't necessarily have any major weaknesses or major strengths, just a solid machine. And Vincent just extracting the max out of it here today.
Now, the car you see in his mirrors is Lowendick, and it looks like he might be catching. He's got it down to 0.4 of a second, and when we put the cameras on Trepanier just moments ago, it was up at 0.6 of a second. He pulls the slipstream through the Parabolica, and as they start to brake, does it get even tighter, down to 0.3 of a second now. He's nearly underneath the rear bumper of that Ferrari. It's not looking good for Vincent on this spot.
We may have jinxed him here, Joe. Teddy does look like he's got a full head of steam here. Little poke to the inside coming through that Mercedes-Benz arena, but not an aggressive move. Ted just seeing where he can apply pressure.
He knows he's got a couple laps left to go. This is not done by any stretch of the imagination, and he is within striking range. Bad news for fans of Christian Eisler. It's now up to 3.8 seconds behind Cuero, so he hasn't been able to cut that down to where he can try and fight for the win. As we go through the south curve, we come back to the main straight, and Teddy is just much tighter through many of these corners.
Yeah, it looks like he's got the front nose of that BMW just a little bit more pointed through the corners. It's just going to be a matter of right here coming down into the Spitzkehre. If he's able to get a better run, that's what it's all going to come down to.
Last time it was looking decent. Let's see if this one's any better. Pretty solid acceleration. They start to pick up speed. The gap is about 0.4 of a second. That's what it was before, so might not get him side by side. He starts to reel it in. They're going to get a friend joining, Josh Wolf, who sits in 5th in his class. He's going to wait patiently. He sees the battle happening as Lowendick tries to take the inside. He's given space at the apex by Vincent. Even with the space, he cannot get through.
No, and I think Josh is going to choose to go through here, and indeed he does. That may put Vincent off ever so slightly. Teddy smells a little bit of blood in the water, going to look for a move on the outside here. Tries to go for a crossover. Ooh, little bit of a snap of oversteer. Catches it very well, but he's still right behind that Ferrari.
And this is going to be a tough one for Vincent, but if he can hold on to this, I mean, hats off to that 87. So far, he's withstanding the pressure well. Down through the Sachs curve yet again. Where is our leader, actually? They're running 126s in those cars, so we're going to have 2 to go next time by.
And there is your leader, Mauricio Cuero. Joe, as you said, he's been able to hold that gap back to Christian Eisler, sitting at about 4.5 seconds right now. Cuero's got a pretty good stretch of road in front of him. Looks like only Marc-Andre Desjardins in front of him for the next while.
Also, while we've got the leader in the prototypes here, why don't we look at the leader in the GT cars? Michael Ross, 2.8 seconds ahead of Squirek, so it has gotten somewhat closer. I'm looking at the lap times, though. They seem relatively even. I think this is mostly traffic. The last one, of course, was affected by traffic. That's why you see Ross losing that. The lap before, Squirek actually had a 37.3, so he lost a little bit there himself, but was mildly quicker through that traffic.
Yeah, it was, but Ross has led just from the beginning here, putting everything in. You can see that flash across your screen. Mauricio Cuero not resting on his laurels, putting in the fastest lap of the race. A little bit of a wide entry there coming into the south curve from Ross, but gets that machine piloted back. And you can see the top of your GTE standings. That is your podium right there. That is Ross, Squirek, and Cope as they run.
This is going to be very important points for Ross. It's at 10 markers between himself and Squirek right now, with Squirek leading. So cut it down likely to about 7 or 8, depending on the bonus points. Got to wait and see what that is like. Vincent Trepanier, who we were watching before, is still experiencing immense pressure from the 72. They're going to let the car of Horatio Calquin split them temporarily. Ooh, this might actually work out well for Lowendick. Yes, he is so much closer this time. I think it's on.
I do too, and we ride on board with Teddy here. As you can see, oh, talk about the face of cool, just drinking a little bit of something there. Comes in, he's in the draft, he pokes his nose to the inside of that Ferrari. He's gonna try to be later on the brakes here. Come on, Teddy, he dives it down, pulls it to the inside. He's got it if he wants it, and indeed, he's in front of Vincent Trepanier.
Nicely done. Vincent gonna try and fight back. We got a great launch, really diamond it off that hairpin. Does Teddy defend? He stays to the inside, way late on the brakes for the Canadian, and he almost manages to get through, but it looks like Teddy has covered him off well enough.
Yeah, and I think Trepanier took a little bit of speed through that corner, but we're going to jump back to Mauricio Cuero here as he is on his white flag lap, breaking down for these curves one last time. That's your leader through the Spitzkara.
And for Christian Eisler, it's going to be another week of waiting. It's been over 2 years since he's taken a win. And Leighton had a spin in the background. I don't think he lost a position. I think he just unfortunately lost control and lost a little time in the process. But watching the 79 come through the last few corners, he has had the lion's share of wins so far this season. 5 out of the 6. He's going to make it 6 out of 7 here today. It wasn't perfectly clean. The traffic nearly took him out in this very corner. But as he comes to the line this time, Mauricio Cuero takes the win.
Absolutely mega drive here from Cuero.
That takes us off to Michael Ross. 3.2 seconds. Oh, what happened to Squirek?
He's out of fuel, Joe. He is out of fuel. He had to let Cope go by coming through the first corner, and now he is vulnerable. He has fallen down off the podium. David is by.
Wow. And this will really hurt him in the championship. It might actually be tied or in favor of Ross after this. His 3rd win of the season coming at Germany.
That was a powerhouse performance from Michael Ross here today. Thomas Cope coming in second behind, and James David rounding out your podium in that GTE.
Looks like Squirek will at least finish 5th in his class. Arnaud Genet able to get by as well before it was over. What a fight all around for a number of drivers. There's Lowendick finishing ahead of Trepanier. We're going to come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so don't go away. Welcome back to Hockeinheim. We just watched round 7 of the Precision Racing League Sportscar Series, and it was Mauricio Cuero overcoming some trials today to take the victory. Didn't get the pole either, so there's a bonus point gone for him, but Christian Eisler certainly enjoyed getting that pole today. Unfortunately, he did not taste victory yet. He did finish in 2nd, tried his hardest, and at least he did get another podium. Jeffrey Ooms was 3rd with Tiensai Leighton. A pretty good run until the very end when he had a spin on the final lap. He did claim 4th, and that was ahead of both Josh Wolf in 5th and Horatio Calquin in 6th. So Leighton will retain 2nd in the points.
Michael Ross was able to put on a commanding drive in that GTE field to take the win. And Thomas Cope, after that fantastic battle we saw with Don Squirek, able to take 2nd place, courtesy of Squirek running out of. Rounding out your podium was James David with Arnaud Genet behind him in 4th, with Squirek, as I said, running out of fuel coming into the last sector. Ted Lowendick put on a great performance to end up in 6th, followed by Vincent Trepanier in 7th and Iago Moraes in 8th. Luis Pime Jr. was 9th and Philippe Magnan was in 10th. Gabriel Lavadier was 11th with Johnny Luna in 12th, and Lou Barreto, suffering a couple of spins on the day, came home in 13th with Marc-Andre Desjardins in 14th. Guacnin was 15th, and Rafael Russo, one of the guys looking at that championship, had a very, very tough day, finishing in 16th in class, followed by Michael Plord and Jean-Claude Langlois, a non-start today.
We're going to talk to our winner in the GT class, and that is Michael Ross. Michael, you looked very much in control of this race, pretty much from the word go.
I assure you that was not always the case. First of all, I have never raced here at all, period. I've only ever practiced. So this was the literally first race I ever ran. Um, and to be perfectly honest, I don't know what happened out there. That car was good, and it was good in practice. Pole was an absolute total surprise. Don, I thought, had the pace. I don't know what happened there, but hey man, I'll take it. I was a little worried about this one. The track's coming. I kind of like so I was a little worried about this. So you get a win here. That was huge, and I there was plenty of pressure, especially towards the end, when me and Jeffrey Ooms got together and lost 3 seconds. But that was a netcode deal, so just happy to bring it home.
Yeah, I'm looking at your incidents because we were a bit worried about them for drivers here. It's easy to get a few off tracks in places. You came away with a single incident point from what I'm seeing. Do you remember even where that was?
Yeah, actually, that was the contact with the LMP2 Jeffrey Ooms when he was coming up to lap me. The netcode, we got it together, and I got the car just sideways enough to get an off track and gather it back up. Other than that, didn't put a wheel off the track.
Yeah, it just looked flawless out there from our perspective. And this closes things in with a little bit of bad luck for Don Squirk with his fuel. So I'm not sure what the points will be, but I'm pretty sure you're going to be within at least 5 or fewer come the next round at Mid-Ohio. Considering you've only now got 3 races to go, how do you approach these last 3?
Well, as far as it looks like, as far as the points, this was another maximum point, so that's 38 points, pole, fast lap, and the win. So that at worst would have been closed it down to 5, and then Don, I see it looks like finished 5th or something. I don't know what happened back there on lap 1. It looks like I saw it in my mirror, Raphael go around, so I don't know, maybe something there, I don't know. But as far as the last 3, it's go for broke, baby. Bring back the trophy or bring the car back in a bucket. Don has the pace everywhere, and I just have to go as fast as I can. I like Mid-Ohio. Montreal, I finished 2nd there last year, so I feel pretty good going in there. And Imola is one of my favorite tracks. So I'm really, I'm pretty confident. Don's got the pace, though. Don is extremely fast. Never count him out at all. So it's just go for broke.
Well, congratulations on your 3rd win of the season. Is there anybody you'd like to thank for this one?
GSRC for you guys for broadcasting. You guys do an amazing job. PRL for the league, and once again, a shout out to Richard because up until I spun the car there, I checked my tire wear at the pit stop, and I was gold. The tire wear was gold. So him pointing out a couple of things in the setup really helped, especially on these grade 1 tracks that are just all switchbacks and slow corners and stuff where you tend to really be hard on the fronts. He's helped immensely. The guys in the forum, they got a great little community there with the Ford, throwing setup ideas around. And it doesn't matter how fast you are. It doesn't matter what your iRating is. This league proves it. It doesn't matter. Any input is good. If you know the car, you can help out guys if they've got a 5,000 iRating or a 500 iRating. So just thanks to everybody involved in this, and see you all in Mid-Ohio.
That was Michael Ross, winner in the GT class, and it looks like up next, DJ has caught up with 2nd, Thomas Cope.
Well, Thomas, it's good to be talking to you again. A great run here today, and where I've got to focus, man, is that 2-lap battle you had with Don Squirek right in the middle of that race. Talk me through that.
That was the most nerve-wracking fight I've ever had. My hands are still shaking from it. It was a really good fight. Obviously, congrats to Don on keeping it clean. That was a really good fight, and I'm going to get a lot of good photos from that. But yeah, even I was shocked how clean I kept it. I thought I was going to wreck out, but wheel-to-wheel racing, that was good.
I mean, I got to tell you, it was an absolute treat to be able to watch and call. Just absolutely incredible. And then obviously talk me through your emotion coming onto that last lap. Don dives into turn 1. You had been catching. And then, I mean, it looked like he just kind of let you by. I know he ran out of fuel, but yeah.
I was very shocked. I felt the brake early into T1. I didn't know what was happening. And my crew chief, Charles, he informed me a little bit that Dom was really off the pace. So I thought he was trying to fuel save to make another lap. So it kind of clicked in my head, maybe he's trying to let me by so he can save a bit of fuel behind me. And then obviously when I got informed that he was out of fuel, it really helped me out, boosted my confidence, and I was really happy to get that P2.
Well, the times you've talked about consistency, and it seems like it's starting to pay through. We've been talking to you almost week after week. I think with Raphael's rough race here, this is going to catapult you up, and you're certainly going to be in contention here for P3 heading into Mid-Ohio, Imola, some of these next tracks coming up. Are there any places you're worried, or are there any places you're feeling especially good?
I was actually just saying to Russo, Imola is going to be fine for me, but it's Mid-Ohio I'm worried about. I've never run a lap around that track, so me and the Olympus team and all the boys behind me, we're all going to be practicing hard, trying to get me up to pace with Mid-Ohio, and hopefully we can challenge the top again, just like tonight.
Well, we'll be watching for sure, and I have to say it's one of my favorite tracks, so I'm going to only judge you slightly that you've never run it, but you're all good, man. Anybody you'd like to thank for this second place here tonight?
Yeah, as always, you guys for the amazing broadcast, PRL for the amazing league and everything upcoming, Olympus eSports for everything they do behind me, helping me out and getting me up to speed with tracks and setups wise, and the man in the years as always, Charles Michel, spotting for me in the game, and in the sim as I should say, doing everything he can to help me get that P2.
Thank you again, Thomas. And now Joe Peak has caught up with your third place finisher in that GTE field, James David.
Indeed, James. Hey, welcome back to the booth once again. And James, it looked like you had a front row view of the battle between your teammate Arnaud and Don Skorek for a while.
Yeah, it was really good to watch, but I was really trying to catch up. And it's kind of strange. It's the second time only this season that I have a chance to be on the podium, and it's because someone, I think it was also done that miss fuel at Long Beach. Is it possible? So it's only the second time I'm on the podium because of someone that miss fuel on the last lap. So it's kind of strange feeling, but that was a good race. That was really great to see. Genet was able to fight with Don. I don't know what happened at first when I saw the guy that lost the car before the checkered line. Excuse me, the finish line at the start of the race. I didn't know what happened there. So it was a really great race. Yeah.
We did notice that we saw the Davidson team all come in at the same time. Was that a team call? Was that planned for you guys?
When did you saw that?
In the middle of this race, it looked like all three of the cars all came in on the same lap. Was that something planned?
For the pit stop?
Yeah.
It was one of the rare occasions that me and Genet were fighting really close. So we were chatting, when do you pit? So I decided, look, I will pit the later I can. So I had three, because we don't want to have a bump entering the pit stop. So he pit actually 2 laps before me, and I go out in front of him. So I don't think it was us that all come in together, because we want to prevent having a bump in the pit entry or something like that. So Arnaud lost a bit of time on the hot lap, so that way I managed to take his spot. But it was great at the end. I was, my God, it was insane the last lap when Don was out of fuel. At first, I thought he was on a slowdown, and when the LMP2 car came, oh my God, it was insane. It came close. I think he will go on the right. I go on the left. I just think it will finish there. But it's great to have a podium like that. Anyway, it was a good race.
Apologies for misidentifying there, but
no problem.
Regardless, yes, congratulations on the podium. Anybody you'd like to give a shout out?
Yeah, my team, like Joel and you, GSRC, always fun to look at the race after. You're always doing a good job. In my team, it's great. We have a top 10 for the 3 guys tonight. It's a good surprise. And congratulations to my teammate Magnan that was on top 10 tonight. So thank you guys, and see you next time.
Yeah, a nice points haul for the Davidson Motorsports guys. That was our third place finisher, James David. Up next, DJ is caught up with fourth, Arnaud Genet.
Well, Arnaud,
hey guys,
how you doing, man? That was a seemingly nonstop battle for you out there, always involved in action, and then capped off by Don running out of fuel at the end. Talk me through your emotions coming after this race.
oh my god, this was a stressful race, to be honest. I wasn't expecting to be a top 5 on qualifying. David and I, James and I were kind of struggling with the car setup since we were running GT3s for the last 2 seasons. So yeah, quite unexpected to be on P5 or P4 on quali. Then Rafa had the hit, and then I was able to pass Don on a bit on the grass, I think, on the first straights. And from there, I know that Don has amazing pace. So and I knew that I had to keep to held him a little bit so that my teammate could catch up. And but in the end, I knew that Don was going to make that pass anyway. So I was just trying to slow him down a little bit, keep it fair, and yeah, at the end, just like James explained. I think James had a little bit pace on me just before the pit window, so that's why I pitted early. And in the end, yeah, I paid off for him, put him on top spot, and yeah, it was it was too bad for Don to not have enough fuel for the end. So I'm just picking up P4 there, but it feels like a P5 to me.
Well, looking at this is obviously your guys' I think best finish of the year, if my numbers are correctly, and it's certainly going to pull you in a little bit closer on Vector. Looking at the team's championship, obviously you guys are keeping that in mind. Got a couple of circuits coming on now that we just heard Thomas say he's not as familiar with Mid-Ohio. We've heard Michael Ross say he loves Imola. Anything that you've got circled as, this is the next time we can make this charge?
Well, for Mid-Ohio, I don't know much about that track, but we're kind of betting on Montreal since this is our home track for the team. So we expect a good result on that one. Again, Mid-Ohio, this is a bumpy track. We're struggling with the car. Yeah, of course, today is quite, a bit bizarre to say that for that kind of a result. But, when we have a lot of elevation changes and the car is not, is quite tough to maintain on the track. So we're just going to have fun. Today was probably the most fun we had in a lot of time. And good shout out to Philippe Magnan that had a lot of technical problems lately. So we had a lot of fun, and we're just going to try to have some fun for the rest of this season for sure.
Well, I'd say that's a pretty good attitude, my friend. Anybody else you'd like to thank for this fourth place here tonight?
Yeah, of course. You guys, you've done a wonderful job. And of course, my teammates that are always there for us, and we're there for me at least. For keeping my mind positive, my wife that supports me throughout this whole season, and of course PRL that's doing an amazing job. So thanks to you all, guys.
That was our fourth place finisher, Arnaud Genet. That's going to wrap up our interviews and our broadcast. So a big thank you to our sponsors, of course, Simulation Motorsports Affinity. Find out how you can bridge the gap between virtual and real motorsports at SIMMSA.net. And NinjaTrader. Get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance by visiting NinjaTrader.com. And of course, Butt Kicker. Feel what you've been missing at thebuttkicker.com. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. And additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, TJ, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. You can also check out our social media through the outlets listed at the bottom of the screen. And if you'd like to support us, check out our merchandise store at simracingmerch.com/GSRC. Get a link in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment, because the next race will be at Mid-Ohio. That'll be Tuesday, May 18th at 9 p.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. Up next, in just a few moments' time, we've got Flying Huskies going to Silverstone at 11:30 p.m. Eastern. Until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.